Thank you for your patience. Welcome to today's Arthur W. Page Society conference call, titled Getting Engaged with Page, webinar for new Page Society members. During the presentation, all lines will be in a listen-only mode. A question and answer session will follow the presentation, and instructions for asking questions will be given at that time. Thank you all for your attention. I would now like to turn the conference over to your host, Mr. Gary Sheffer.
Hi, hello everyone, and thanks for being on our webinar. I'm Gary Sheffer, and I lead communications at GE, and I also have the honor of being the chairman of the Arthur W. Page Society. So we're just going to spend some time together today talking about how you, as new members, can get engaged. We'll give you some sort of a menu of things that you can, through which you can make the most out of your membership. This is something we do fairly frequently at Page, meaning webinars. This is our fourth one this year. The first three during the year had to do with our thought leadership work, which I'll dig into in a little bit. So my hope's that you'll learn more from this webinar about the opportunities, again, to make the most out of your membership. As we go through this, it would be really terrific. You see the chat box in the lower left-hand side of your screen if you're online, and I'll do my best to go through those questions, your questions, as we go through this to try to make this a little bit more interactive. I'm going to try to move through these slides fairly efficiently, like I say, so that I'll get to the Q&A discussion at the end. Let's get started. So, as I say, this is about the value of the Page membership. And first, just a little background on Arthur Page. We actually have the benefit of being named after an actual person, Arthur W. Page, who served as Vice President of PR for AT&T from 1927 to 1946. He was the first PR executive to board of directors for a major public corporation. The society, which was founded in 1983, is founded upon upon principles derived from his writings and his work. So that's who Arthur Page was, and again, I think it's a benefit to be named after an actual person who had beliefs and values and articulated what he felt was the way to operate within a large corporation, both personally and sort of collectively, C-suite peers. So membership for Arthur Page includes only the most senior and accomplished professionals in our field. It's the best, by the way, professional organization I've belonged with. It's the most enriching that I've found, and it's because we're operating on a peer-to-peer level, and people who have similar sort of challenges, responsibilities, opportunities. So that peer-to-peer relationship activity, if you will, and maybe not a great word, but I think it's a real benefit and a real differentiator for Page. We've got today more than 560 members and growing across different business sectors, industries, and geographies. We have really great conferences for sharing insights from our members and among our members, networking, hearing from leading intellectuals, external speakers, etc. One of the reasons I value Page is the networking, and it's the number one thing our members tell us that they value from their connection with Page. I say this a lot, and I mean it. At GE, I probably have the best Rolodex, to use an outdated term, but really I have the best sort of network in the C-suite here because of Arthur Page. There's not a person that I can't pick up the phone and call if we need to do something with one of our customers, our partners, a speaker, et cetera, and that it pays great benefits for me inside the company. We have great programs for continuing education, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then thought leadership. You've probably seen over the past few years really focused on defining and advancing the future of the CCO. So this is the value of Page, and I'll go into a little bit more depth in each of them in a minute. So this is the page mission. If you're following this on the webinar, it really focuses on strengthening our role, but not just to suit our own purposes, right, individually, but because of our broader belief that the CCO is key to the success of an enterprise and allowing companies to function responsibly and deliver societal benefit, obviously beyond the bottom line, something that CCOs are increasingly turned to for in large organizations particularly. We do have professional standards to try to advance this mission. They're called the PAGE Principles, which are really enduring. Again, these weren't principles that Arthur Page himself espoused, but have been derived over the years from his writings and have endured, as I say, over the 31 years of the Page Society. We also say that part of our mission is to advance how communications is understood, practiced, and taught. We all know that is evolving, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the things we're doing in each of those areas to try to advance that mission. And we try to create a learning and do all of this in a learning environment, right? It's opportunities for CCOs to come together in a very collegial, I have to say, atmosphere to hone their skills, share perspectives, and collaboratively learn and grow as professionals. And our members play a vital role in advancing these goals by personally upholding the principles, contributing to our thought leadership, and participating in the learning opportunities that we have. So I'm driving this. Let me see if I can advance our slides here again. So should be on a slide now that says Getting Engaged with Page. I've gone through these, but more specifically, here are the opportunities that you have. Participating in thought leadership and research, contributing to reports. I find this to be a really enriching activity because it's an intellectual debate in some ways about the future of our profession. And the great thing about Page is we've got people from global members, we've got people from different kinds of companies, we've got academics, we've got leaders of big agencies, and this discussion on, who we are, where we're going, what skills do we need, I find to be really valuable to me as I try to grow and learn as a leader. You can also serve on committees. This is really where the work is done. Membership, professional development, nominating, events, etc. Again, really an opportunity to learn and also to build some relationships with other Page members. You can nominate new members to continue growing the Page network and membership. You can attend and participate in organizing events, the annual conference, the spring seminar, insight forums, which have been incredibly popular over the last few years, and other regional networking dinners and gatherings. Sponsoring, we are always looking for people who are willing to sponsor all this great content and these great events that we put together. So you can corporate individual projects, there's quite a bit of opportunity. And then engaging through social, something we're really trying to emphasize. One of the things that I tried to emphasize as one of the two priorities that I put together back last year or earlier this year for my tenure as chairman was to increase membership engagement. We're doing a lot of great things, a lot of thought leadership, the conferences that we do, there's a lot of best practices that we share. How do we really engage our membership around these discussions, make it more accessible and usable in their day-to-day jobs? And so I'll talk about a couple of these things in a little bit more depth in a minute. And then I mentioned thought leadership. If I just advance to the next slide. This has really become sort of central to Page work over the last few years. What you see here is the new model of corporate communications. And today we just call it the model since it's been around since 2012. In the Building Belief paper, and it offers a new framework for understanding how enterprises can approach stakeholder engagement. As you see it here in this graphic, the thing I really like about it, and I talk about a lot, is this idea that CCOs are responsible for helping to define and activate and enrich in some ways and align their corporate character. You can call this culture, you can call it, whatever you like, But this idea of defining who we are, what is unique about us, what differentiates us from other enterprises, and how do we enrich that and use that, and then take it outside the firewall to build trust and build advocacy at scale. If you're familiar with the outer ring of the model, which is building shared belief, driving action around that, continuing to drive confidence, and then having others, third parties, advocate on our behalf. And then, obviously, it's a continuous circle of building belief and trust with our external stakeholders. This is a postulation of what corporate communications, what communications will be going forward. It's not static. We don't put it on a shelf and say, it's not a tome that we refer to like the Constitution in the U.S. these days. It's something we want to be dynamic and alive and constantly being challenged by our members to improve upon it and to advance it. So the new model is one piece of thought leadership. We did corporate character in 2013 to follow on the model, and that explores how distinct values, beliefs, purposes, and actions of a company help define its identity and inform everything it does at all levels. That's what I love about the model is, character is something that you take with you wherever you go, to a customer meeting, to a meeting with a regulator, to congressional testimony, to a recruiting event. This definition of who you are and how you fit into the world, I think, is something that is a great advantage if you do it well, a great advantage for big enterprises. And then authentic advocacy was another report that we did in 2014, and that was a deep dive into how leading companies, Cargill, Chevron, Lundbeck, Southwest Airlines, USAA, how they approach stakeholder engagement and offer recommendations for the CCOs on how they do it. Chevron model here I thought was really terrific. I learned a lot from it just reading it. And, they've got a global sort of view on who their stakeholders are, how they identify them, how they engage with them. Really, really helpful to me as a best practice. So let me just advance here to our next page. So as I said earlier, I had two priorities when I became the chairman back earlier this year. And one of them was member engagement, and we're doing really well. Our membership is growing fairly rapidly. As I say, we're up to 560 or so members. And we set a goal. We just picked sort of what we thought was a reasonable number of, 65% or so of members engaged in some way with Page this year. And we're about at that number right now. But obviously we'd like to do more, and we'll probably set a more aggressive goal. The other priority that I sent for Page this year was really to take a look at the future of the CCO. I thought Page had done a lot of great work sort of working horizontally in some of the thought leadership work that had been done. And I thought it was time, given things going on in our profession, to really take a look at sort of ladder that up vertically to the CCO and the changing role of the CCO, but also to take a look at, really specific things like the responsibilities, the, span of a CCO's work, how it's designed, the organization, talent, measurement, leadership competencies. And so we've been working on that. And we expect ultimately to have a report in 2015. Just recently we did a Page Jam, thanks to the good people at IBM. We just asked all of our members, and including our Page Up folks, which I'll mention in a minute, what they felt were the most important areas to consider on the future of the CCO. And we had a great discussion over 2 days, 48 hours. Everybody could just sort of log in and talk about responsibilities, skills, expectations in the C-suite, interaction with marketing, storytelling, content, all of the things that we're facing in our jobs every day as we work in this dynamic environment. That the IBM folks are going to work analyzing that, and we're going to get a report out on that soon, and that'll be fed into this report that I mentioned will be issuing early in 2015. The work streams under this big CCO initiative include what I just discussed, but also a very deep look at the skills and capabilities, let's say, that will be needed of a CCO over the next 5 to 10 years. What does an enterprise engagement system look like? A framework for developing stakeholder engagement systems and processes that permeate the enterprise and allow CCOs to work effectively. And then C-suite engagement, really facilitating dialogue across C-suite members about the integral role of the CCO and corporate communications. And we've got great people working on this. John Iwata from IBM, Sean O'Neill from Heineken leading the Future of the CCO workstream, Bob Feldman of PulsePoint, and Merrill McDonald of Gagan McDonald Skills and Capabilities. Alan Marks of eBay, Krista Carone from Fidelity working on the enterprise engagement system, and myself and Valerie T. Maria working on the C-suite engagement. So real sort of, leading folks in the profession who've got global responsibilities, who understand the changing roles of the CCO, particularly as they relate to other members of the C-suite. So I'm really excited about this, and I really think we're going to have a great discussion on this over the next year or so. So that's one way, thought leadership, that you can become engaged. Professional development is another. It's focused on advancing our profession. Tom Martin and Kimberly Good lead our professional development committee, two sort of great professionals really committed to growing a pipeline of future CCOs and Page Society members. I'll quickly go through some of the things we do in professional development. A year ago we formed Page Up, which was about next generation of communications leadership. Each member is sponsored by a Page member. I've got 3 folks in the program. And we've already up to 150 people, which we never expected we'd get to in a year. And again, this shows me there's a real thirst for professional development and growing the next generation of leaders within our own organization. Future Leaders Experience, it's a 2-year executive education program, if you will, and they meet 3 times a year for 2 or 3 day sessions with a focus of each session on one of the thought leadership areas that we've identified. I just led one of these, and it was the graduating session, the last class of the 6 for the group, and we focused on the future of the CCO, which obviously was quite relevant to them as they think about their own careers. And we're already filling our next class, and I think it's full already. So there's great demand for this for Page members, team members to be part of Page as well, too. We've got a new initiative on diversity and inclusion, one of the priorities I set earlier this year. And this is a goal of increasing diversity across the communications and PR profession. And we're going to collaborate with other organizations on this. And we already have a cooperative research project underway with the PRSA Foundation. We've got an academic work stream focused on preparing the next generation of communicators by working with Business and Communication School. So again, getting back to sort of our mission of advancing how communications is understood, practiced, and taught. If we've got a point of view on PR of the future and on communicators of the future, then we've got to get into the schools and work with them on the way they are teaching communication. Advance to the next slide here. And nominations. Nominations is another area where you can get engaged. And this is helping to infuse our organization with new members. One of the things that I've also said as a priority is to increase our global membership. And we've got about 50 or 60 right now from outside the United States, and it's growing. It's grown significantly in recent years. I recently took a trip to Dubai to do some recruiting there. Roger was in the same thing. But we really believe that a lot of us run global organizations, and that diversity of perspectives on our profession, on the challenges we all face running global teams, the more global we are, the better we're going to be collectively and individually. So you're going to be able, as a member, to contribute to our membership. Page member nominations for corporate, agency, NGO, or educator categories are accepted throughout the year. Page is open to team members on page member staffs, as I mentioned, up to 4 members per company, and the next cycle for nominations will be in January, in a month or so. And future leaders, we're recruiting now for the 2015-16 class. I think space is limited in this one to 30 to 35 members, and we may be fully subscribed, but I'll mention in a minute how you can find out more about that. And then we've got some great upcoming events. We have Insight Forums, something that we started a few years ago, and they've been terrific. We've done them in Chicago and in California, London, I believe. We did one in Germany. And these are one-day events focused on a specific topic. Changing, the CCO's role, changing role in the C-suite. And we're going to have one on December 8th on the future of the CCO. And we're going to have speakers Sally Young from Lundbeck, Sean O'Neill from Heineken on the value of protecting corporate reputation. I'm going to talk about building corporate identity into content strategies. So these are really intense one-day events, lots of networking opportunity, lots of best practice sharing, and just general discussion about leadership and learning. Our spring seminar in 2015, you see the dates there, April 9th and 10th at the Conrad in New York. Then Prozac Partners is leading this. She's got a great program. It's going to really be one of the best that I've seen. And it's on the indispensable CCO. And I love this title, and I love how it fits into what we're trying to do on the future of the CCO. Our annual conference will be at the Radisson Blue Aqua Hotel in Chicago from September 27th through 29th. And this is member-only event, and usually about 200 members there. And we tend to, at this session, focus on case studies and member-to-member learning opportunities. So great upcoming events. Really excited about both of the conferences. And then, as I mentioned, of course, lots of opportunity to support Page financially. We've got Friends of Page, which is a personal commitment for contributions to Page. So in other words, it comes from Gary Sheffer when I make that contribution. Event sponsorship, thought leadership sponsorship of certain projects. Our annual case study competition, which may not be well known to a lot of our members, but it's conducted in partnership with the Institute for Public Relations. It's in its 14th year, and it offers students the opportunity to examine, leading sort of issues going on in the corporate world and to apply the Page principles to them. Really a great thing, and also an opportunity for sponsorship. Professional development is an opportunity for sponsoring future leader events, sessions, sponsoring Page Up. And then there are special programs and projects. One of the things I would say we're looking really to do is to upgrade our website, and so things like that, optimizing our social profile, you can also take, we need support on as well. And then unrestricted contributions, as you know, in any organization are always welcome. So that's a way you can get involved. And members do it in different ways, right? Some members tend to want to really dig into the committee work. Some members like to present and come to our Insight Forums or our conferences and share best practices. Some like working with the future leaders in the Page Up group to drive learning and sharing there. Some like to, sort of stay in the background and participate in the sessions themselves. There are innumerable ways. I say again, this has been the best professional relationship engagement that I've had, and it's because I've chosen to get involved and to really sort of dig in and understand what Page is about, understand Page people, to participate in the events. I know we're all super busy, and what I like about Page is it gives me multiple ways to engage. And I've found the leadership at Page from day one, the board, the staff, to be highly collaborative, high-quality people that make me better. And so that's why I'm willing to put time and effort into Page. And quite honestly, quite selfishly, it makes me better at my job in so many ways. To understand how people are trying to build culture, enhance culture within their organizations, to learn how people are doing content and storytelling in a collaborative environment makes me better at my job. And so there's also that sort of selfish reason. I want to give and I want to help, but I also want to make sure that I'm growing and learning, and Page helps me do that. So here's how you can get engaged with Mary Elliott is the VP of Member Engagement. You can see her contact information here if you're on the webinar. Mary is terrific, and she'd be happy to explain more about the opportunities and find ways to get involved. I also find just talking to your other Page, your peers, people you know in Page, folks who nominated you. Roger is, a really great leader for Page. Anyone, you call somebody on the board or anyone, and Page, and they'll have 10 ideas for you. So I see as I wrap up here, I've got a couple, I think, questions on the chat line. Let me just see here. Does Page offer anything for more junior members, i.e., not ready for Page up? So there are two things here, right, Jennifer? There are a couple of things, I would say. The future leaders is a little bit different. That view Page up as folks who are ready to be Page members, or we expect will be CCOs at some point, and in fact, many already have. Future leaders, you might look in your organization for a different set, more junior, and that's what I've done. I put people into future leaders, and then when they're done with that, my anticipation is I'll put them into Page up. Also, remember, there are other things that you can bring members to. The Insight forums that I mentioned, the Spring guest policies there as well, too. So Page is, as I said at the top, focused on the senior-most person in an organization, but increasingly we are providing opportunities for more members of the staff. So, and I think Dan here has probably answered that as well, too. Clark asks, is there a southwestern region of members? I'm going to defer to Mary on that. There certainly are members from that part of the country. We do try to, and some folks just do this informally on their own. They, together and have a discussion, some networking, just a dinner, some drinks, that kind of thing. I went to one of these last year in Atlanta, just got together with a bunch of Page folks from the area and had some dinner, and Mary will get that to you. So I think that's what I see on the chat line. So at least I guess we'll open it up to questions online on the phone line now.
Thank you.
That's all right.
At this time, we will begin the question and answer session. To ask a question, press 0 followed by a 1 on your touch-tone phone. Questions will be answered in the order they are received. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, press 0 followed by a 1 now. And please hold for a moment as our system compiles your responses. We do have a question from Clark Dumont. Please go ahead, Clark.
Good morning. Thanks for doing this, and greetings from Las Vegas. Very excited, Gary. Thank you for this. Very excited about becoming a member of the Page Society. It's been an objective for a long time, and would love to get more engaged on the committee level and help on the membership development level as well.
Terrific.
So sign me up. Let me know what I can do to help.
Great. Well, first off, you're going to have to host us all in Las Vegas, Clark, and I think our committee meeting should be held out at your place.
Come on out. We'd love to host you. And by the way, it's going to be 75 degrees today and sunny.
That's very nice.
Did I just say that? Sorry.
Yeah, our polar vortex is revisiting us here. Well, that's terrific, and we're really thrilled to have you. And this is what I mean. It's Clark's not somebody I know, but I'm very interested in his job and what he does. It's quite different than what I do at GE, where we sell jet engines and locomotives. But I suspect that Clark and I have a lot in common on, what's expected of us inside our organizations and the contributions that we make. So terrific to have you, Clark.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Daniel McIntyre. Please go ahead, Mr. McIntyre.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad it worked. First of all, Gary, I want to thank you as well. This was really helpful, and I have to say I'm humbled by the obvious effort that you've put into your chairmanship. And I actually, one of my questions was already answered, but in terms of your position, other than sponsorships, which I think you can do in parallel with other things, where's the greatest need for sweat equity engagement among members?
I think, and thanks for everything. That's very nice of you to say. The committee work, particularly, I was going to say around some of the thought leadership work that we're doing. It's a lot of work to put together these reports. It's enriching, it's enlightening, but it is a lot of work, and we're all volunteers. So that would be one area that I would mention. And that I also think the professional development side, I think the programs that we put together are the best I've seen out there. There's a lot of things that you can send your teams to, PRSA, et cetera, and they're all terrific. I think PAGE is the best. And so continuing to ensure that the insight forums that we offer, the future leaders experiences that we offer are first rate. We need the PAGE members themselves to participate, to present, to talk with the folks involved in those sessions. So to me, where I, really appreciate the support is in the thought leadership committees and then in the professional development. Not that everything's not important. Development's important, sponsorships, membership, all those things. But I think that's where PAGE differentiates itself, in my view.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have no further audio questions.
Roger, I know you're on. Do you want to add anything?
Mr. Bolton, your line is now live.
Thanks, Gary. I don't really think so. I mean, you did such a comprehensive job. I'm just really pleased that so many new members have joined to learn. And I guess actually I would. Clark and I have already talked about some ways to get him engaged. And I would just offer to any of you who would like to have a personal conversation with me about more specifics about how to get involved, I would very, very much welcome that. Just send me an email or drop me a note, and we'll set up a call, and we'll find ways to get you engaged. And thank you, Gary, for doing this.
Happy to. So there are no further questions. I'll say thanks, everybody, for being on. It's really terrific of you guys to take time out of your day to do this, and I look forward to seeing you at future PAGE events.
Thank you all for your attention. This concludes today's conference call. All participants may now disconnect.